I don't want to keep it like that because you guys will be too busy looking.
Because the focus is Richie, you know what I mean? Oh, jeez. Broke your thing. What do they call you? Rich? Shaw's?
Yeah, Shawzy. Shawza. Ian White nicknamed me that. Shawza, yeah. which was a trainer. I used to train the young team quite young. And he used to make all his nicknames up. And Mike, we called him Shozza. Shozza. Mike was so funny. You don't use Shozza. And that's my Twitter thing, Shozza.
Yeah.
Lucky number's 11, so Shozza11, at Shozza11.
Yeah.
And Wrighty was the first one to always do that.
Yeah.
He was always giving someone a nickname, Wrighty. he was the funniest guy ever.
Alright, so gents,
What a player.
I'm going to basically do a clap without the bar. Yeah, that's rock and rolling. Right, here we go. So, 3, 2, 1, and give me a couple of seconds to come out the door. Have fun, folks.
No problems.
And I'll try and keep it quiet outside.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, T. One more door in it. Here's it. It's going to come.
Just be silent.
Yeah.
Not say anything. See if I'm coming and say anything.
All right. Welcome to the Academy Football Network podcast with myself, Big Nath and Big C. Today, we are very, very lucky to be joined by number one, let me turn this on.
Is that your phone?
Yeah.
That's not a good start, is it?
No, it's Paul. Hold on, let's get this down. All right, so for me, a very, very good friend, somebody that I consider a mentor from afar, somebody that when they came into the system or came to the club when I first met them, generally in awe of the individual, and so I'm very, very proud to have Richard Shaw on the podcast today. So thank you for coming down.
Big Nathan, I'm going to call you now Big Nathan.
Yeah.
You was Nathan, that's fine. Big Nathan, yeah, Big Nathan. My pleasure.
Good. Car, anything?
No, in terms of myself as a person, I always remember back to it was almost like the equivalent of, or maybe better. I don't want to downplay it, but the kind of crazy gang, that kind of era, that Palace team that was that sort of, it seemed like a really good team spirit about them. I don't know. You'll obviously tell us more, but just hearing about that and yourself in terms of being a youth player there and coming through, it would be interesting to hear some of the things around that.
Yeah, slightly different than what the young boys come through now, and you try to tell them, you know, and I think they look at you sometimes, and they come with no, you didn't do that. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or, you know, about the work ethic, and they're like, well, no, we can do like around the world and kick a ball up with pink boots on. That's enough. No, it's nowhere near enough. And it is interesting when you see the difference of growing up and the respect that I certainly used to have for the elders and learning information from the managers and the first team players. I had so much respect, and even now, if I see my former managers, it's always Gaffer, Gaffer, or even a senior player. I'll have a quick 5-minute chat at a game, see how they are, and what was it like. Always asking questions. Don't see it so much now. Yeah,
that's definitely something I probably picked up from you when I saw you navigating around the training ground and just seeing how you interact with different members of staff, and always noticed when you saw a part is Gaffer and it's not Alan, or there's that level of respect. Definitely stood out to me.
And I think that's come from my upbringing as a young age, and I did have that, shall we say, not so much fear factor, but certainly that respect of the boss or the manager was, or my youth team manager, because he was basically my guys. I grew up in a £1 family, very little money. I've told this story to a couple of the boys. I think I told it to the 16s once when they were messing about and lost a game at, I think, Bristol City. I sat them all down and told them a story about they think they've got it easy, and they're late. It was Francis, and it was Josie. It was Josie as well, Joe Humbo's. And about I used to give up 3:30 every morning for 2 years. My apprenticeship dealt with up at 3:30. I cleaned from 4 till 6. I was a cleaner, and then from 6, I got 3 trains, I think it was, to get to Mitcham. And I trained because we were short of money as a family, a £1 family, like I said. And that stood up for 2 years, you know, and I took great pride. I was earning more money cleaning it from 4 in the morning till 6 I was as an apprentice. But we had to do it. And I always say to about people, you have to find a way in life. But also I always say to people, whatever job you do, be the best that you can. And one thing always sticks to me, and people may laugh, I had 1 floor, but because I was so good at it, they gave me 2 floors. And then I ended up earning about £200, which was unheard of back when I was there. And I used to do that. I've done it for 2 years in my apprenticeship. So when people like turn up late, you've got to be in for 9 o'clock, you're late. I'm not having it. I'm just refused to believe you can't set off even an hour before and come in early and prepare yourself for what is your profession. And even when I was playing reserve team football at 15, 16, and say we play away, there was no cars, no phones. It was literally the last train from Wimbledon or back home to Woking. Get back at no taxis out. I'd walk 3 miles home and then get to bed at 1 and wake up at 3 again.
Wow.
And that was, but I loved it. And it made me the sort of person.
Your work ethic.
Yeah, your work ethic. And how I gravitate to people who have that work ethic. If you don't have that work ethic, I've really not got time for you.
Yeah.
You know, but if you have that, then I'll spend as much time with anybody.
Yeah.
Generally will.
Really good.
So going a bit more into like your experiences as a YTS, like can you tell us a bit more about your experience and how that was as a working out?
Yeah, like I said, it was a lot different because obviously, and before we start, I'm not going to go during my day or during that. I mean, I've seen so many people doing that, and I don't like to do it in a way because it's the same question when people say, "Oh, do you wish you was playing in this era?" Well, no, I love my era, and there's no wishing because it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But then I look at people in the 50s and 60s who were far better players than me, like your Jimmy Greaves and all the people like that, who probably wishing they was playing in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's all sort of relevant. But in terms of my upbringing and, you know, cleaning boots, Scott Fitzgerald, I do believe, still does that at Millwall.
Yeah.
And he's a very good academy director, probably the best I've worked under, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
By a mile. He's got great discipline with the kids and how he does it. But yeah, cleaning boots was staying behind, make sure all the equipment's done, the kit's done. We had to do all the equipment for the away team when they came down to Sellers Park. Yeah. And it's just the camaraderie we all had as
who were some of the boots that you had to clean?
I actually had Steve Copples.
Wow.
I had four pairs. I had Steve Copples. I had a guy called Gary Stebbing, who was a young pro.
Yeah.
Ian Evans was the assistant manager, and I think the other one might have been Andy Gray. And you're sort of thinking at Christmas time, that's when you sort of started earning money. I don't think I got anything. I think Andy Gray promised me a high-tech tracksuit, which never quite.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah,
with Andy, you know Andy, but it was just a terrific upbringing because it was so disciplined as well. If the kit wasn't there on time, the first team players would absolutely, hammer you. They would call you, give you a clip around the ear, and you know. But even the training, we trained a lot with the first team, which was great. A few selection, and that's the real school of hard knocks. You know, because you're in the big bad world. Then you really are. You know, as kids, you're playing in the youth team, where it's a real comfort zone. And you can be the best youth team player. I've seen it thousands of times. You go out there, you beat 10 players, you beat a team 8-0, and everyone thinks, brilliant, youth team won again. And for the coach, it's a big ego and that. That's not the real world. That's not the real world. That is the youth team. The minute you step from the youth team into the 23s, into the first team, that's when your character comes in. That's when your work ethic comes in. Because I've seen so many youth team going, oh my God, they bore me. And you know, I hear so many things about this FA Youth Cup. Don't get me wrong, I think for the kids it's great, but I mean, I've seen clubs change the whole routine for it.
It's interesting because I mean, we always hear coaches talk about that in regards to making the 23s environment and the 18s to a certain respect, because sometimes a 7-year-old might get asked to train with the first team. How do we bridge the gap between making it as real as possible and reflect what's going to happen when you're in the first team? We often talk to anything you'd think that they do now that you think, do you know what, that's not going to help them, or we need to do better at that.
I think, Carl, as well, you know, they have no idea. I mean, I'm a big fan of the loan system. You know, I'm a really big fan that players should go out on loan if they're ready and they need it. And there were certain clubs and certain players that don't. You know, we had Aaron was going to go out on loan, but two injuries he had. The first team was thrown in, and the rest is history. I know at Tottenham, for instance, if the players think their players don't need that loan, and they get up to speed with the first team environment, they will stay there and train with the first team day in, day out. But I just think the players now in this comfort zone, where they offer contracts at a club, and I think clubs as well are so scared of players leaving and going somewhere else, and I don't see that as, oh, you know, the players come and bite on the backside. No, you're in development to develop the players. You know, and if a player goes, you're not going to get it right all the time. But if a player goes to another club, good luck. But I just think clubs hold on to players now so long.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen players at 21, 22 not playing a league game,
Yeah.
playing in 23s football.
Yeah.
It drives me mad, and I just think you get soft.
Yeah.
Because 23s football is what it is.
Yeah.
It's 10 passes goal in your own penalty box, and then it's like the agents will be on the side telling their client how good they are.
Yeah.
And in 23s football, when you should be out learning your trade,
Yeah.
learning your craft in the real world where there's a mortgage involved, there's a bonus involved to feed your family as such, and that is the real world. And I think we are too soft. I'm not saying, Carl, go so far the other way where it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think we have to get that happy medium.
Yeah, I do agree.
Where there
I
is
think there's I do agree in regards to where is the point where we say no, you need to fly. You know, you can't be in the nest all the time.
No.
You need to go out and fly. And I'm a big believer in the loan system and how we support the kids in that environment, because yes, they are kids, but we need to bridge the gap somehow.
And it's a hard one as well, because when I first took this, when I went to Millwall as a player, and I started doing the 21s and then helping Kenny with the first team, and I soon realised, and I didn't see it because I was quite lucky as a young lad, because at 17 I was in and around the first team environment, and myself and John Solarco, so we never really saw that period between 18s and 21s, and I see that period between 18s and 21s, I kind of used to call it no man's land, because you've just come out of the youth team where you're the superstar, and again, like I said, you've won a youth league, or everyone bums you up because you're in that age group and you're the best player. But then you come out of that and you can't quite get to the first team, and you're in that little bit where now you're not the best player. Now you are another. Now how are you going to make that difference where you can be bridging that gap? And I think it's a real how do we say it, important time of a player's life where they could go one way or the other way. And I think it's up to football clubs to do more, if I'm going to be honest, and maybe make the 23s league something on it, relegation. I know they're doing Cat 1, but also like a proper cup competition, or somewhere where you can go. It's up to the clubs to do something as well. Go abroad, and I know the Cat 1 teams do, I know the bigger boys do.
Yeah, they go check a trade.
They go trophies, they go abroad and play tournaments. These players should be experiencing that, you know, and I don't think there's enough done. I really don't. I think it's, don't worry about them, they're in that group, and it's almost like they're just
ticking along.
They're just ticking along, and then they start signing another contract, because then it comes to April and people think, well, maybe just give them one more year. And like I said, before you know it, they're 22, 23, which is the group I took over in 23s. They were all old. They were 22-year-old, 21-year-olds. So I just.
What is that when you first came into it?
When I first came 23s, you know, I mean, the 23s, in my opinion, were blocking the pathways of the 18s, 17s, 16s all the way down. And I had a really good group at 16s. Luke Dreyer. Luke Dreyer should have been playing 21s football at 16. He should have been playing. Easy. You know, but it took him 2 years because someone at 23-year-old was playing in the 23s, maybe winning the league. 23s league, where means nothing. Let's be honest. In a way, it's nice, but I've done it myself. It is nice for the players, but the bigger picture is your development. You know, that's the bigger picture, and I do think we need to do more.
So, what would you say as a 23s coach is your biggest frustration around that age group?
Complacency. I'd say complacency. Are we doing enough for them as a football club? I'm talking about every club, by the way. Do we do enough? I know some clubs really do. I've seen some clubs brilliant with that age group, and they really challenge them. And I think that's where they have to be challenged, because in the first team they're challenged, because obviously it's a result of the day. The youth team, they're challenged to get a pro. But I think when they got that pro, it kind of, their next challenge should be to be in the first team. But I think for some, the challenge is so far, they probably think it's not so realistic. And you try and tell them, okay, we have to go somewhere else in, then their world crashes down. They don't quite understand. It's interesting now. The players I had in my group, they call me now, and they went, do you know what, Rich? He said, you was absolutely right when you were telling us what it was like out there. Go and play some games. Michael Phillips, as a for instance, I speak to Michael quite a bit, and he's at Wilstone now.
Willstone, he's doing all right as well, isn't he?
Oh yes, I went to watch him on the weekend.
He went to was it Maidstone? Maidstone. And now Michael's got about 100 games behind him. And all of a sudden now he's got a CV. So if Michael wants to try and get back into football, which I think he will do, or wherever he goes now, people won't just look at it and think, but you had 90 23s games.
Yeah.
Now he's actually got games on his CV.
Yeah.
And I can't stress enough that is so important to go and play, because nothing. It's it's the realism of it.
Yeah.
So back to when you was a youngster, just thinking about academy days. What did anything prepare you? Because you said you were 17 going into sort of first team football, basically. Did anything prepare you back then?
No, I mean I had to learn quickly of how to look after yourself in that environment. I mean, myself and John Slarko were travelling. First team, of course, you travel. You got to make the cups of tea. You got to do everything basically. Like, you're just about to sit down and you get a booming voice. Oh, sure, go and make the tea. Go and get the tea. And you just kind of like you go with it. And you kind of learn on the job. Whereas I was a bit more okay. John was a bit more chirpy. And then John used to get a load of stick for it, but the players loved him for it, and that was John's own character, which was good in itself. Everyone's different, but then also when you're training with the first team, I remember Alan Irvine, who's now assistant to Moisey, David Moyes. Alan Irvine, people played a practice game. He kicked me everywhere, all over the pitch. And Steve Coppell's just like, this is it. There's no looking at the manager going, help me out here. He's just like, you either sink or you swim. And in a way, I think that's how it should be.
Gifton was saying the same thing. Gifton was saying that he used to get kicked, and Kenny would say, well, either you roll with it or you come off.
And I guess they're probably trying to test you.
They are.
They're saying, let's see if he's one, physically robust, two, mentally robust. And I think sometimes players don't. The new age player, young player, they don't sometimes understand that in a certain way, and maybe they do, but we don't give them much credit for it. But I do think the mental robustness and the physical robustness of a first team environment is something that they take for granted.
Absolutely, and it's a really good point you say there, Carl, because I think I'm a massive believer in the mental side of the game is huge, absolutely huge. And I know the awareness of how we are now in football now. But I mean the mental side in terms of preparation, in terms of doing the right things, in terms of staying in the moment at times when things are going to be tough. You know, just sort of staying with it. I know there's people you can talk to nowadays, but obviously we never used to have that. And it was literally like you said there, no sink or swim. But for me, I think talent is one thing, but if you've got the whole thing, you've got the mental side and you've got the work ethic and you've got that side of it, you can be one hell of a player. And unfortunately, I've seen it, and like you said, back then, I mean, I never had an agent, but I see players now that just go home, phone their agent, the agent calls up and moans that he's been kicked or he's not training with the first team, and you're like, your agent's not going to help you. You've got to do it yourself.
And we want to see that side of you to know that you're ready now.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing happened with Aaron and all the young kids that I've seen. It's the same Luke Dreyer's injured now, because I think Luke would be man of the first team. I look at Luke, and Luke's got a real work ethic. I look at Aaron, how he coped with it in a different way, you know. But there's some there, or there's some former clubs, shall I say, or other clubs I've been at. You kind of think you're a good player, but then you put them in I think I saw a really good trainer once when I was at Coventry, really good footballer, midfield player, and he went to Old Trafford and he played at Old Trafford and he just couldn't cope with it. And he just couldn't cope. Mentally just couldn't deal with it. And that is a real side of the game, Carl, that I think we have looked at it more now. But it used to just be, I'll just get on with it. But I think now, the way the world is now, I think the guys do need help at times. Sometimes you do need someone at a club where you can maybe talk to, and try and get yourself through it and make life easy for you.
Yeah, definitely. So playing career, you did Hull. Was that a loan when you was young? How was that? Talk to us about that. What was that?
Oh my God, Hull City was probably the best thing I ever did. I was, I think, 19, 20. Because I was in and out the first team. Stan Turnant, who was assistant manager at Palace at the time, he went and managed Hull. And he was another character. I seem to gravitate to people that have discipline, that have a real work ethic about them. And Stan Turnant was that, and like Gordon Strachan was that. And I just love them kind of people who say it as it is, honestly, loyal. And if the balls weren't out on the pitch at a certain time, Stan was just kind of too little, and he'd get their balls out. So he went to Hull, and Palace are in what's called, obviously, Division 1, which is now the Premier League.
Yeah.
And Hull's in the Championship, what it is called now. Hull were down the bottom, and it was a brilliant loan. But I've got something you've got to go and think about it. I didn't really have to think about it. I spoke to the senior players, and they all said, yeah, go and do it. So I drove up to Hull, and it's a time there's no phones. There's none of that. I had an XR2, I think, at the time.
Was that an Escort?
It was the Fiesta.
The Fiesta,
it was a Fiesta
one,
XR2, and it was red. It was my pride and joy. And I drove up to Hull. It must have taken me about 12 hours. There was no phones or sat nav. I literally had A to Z that big, and I was reading it off of the passenger seat, stopping every 3 hours. Got to Hull, must have been about, my God, I must have got up at 10 o'clock at night. And this is when I talk about looking after yourself, getting on with it. And I walked into the office, and Stan Turnit's in the office with a guy called Mel Machin, who was manager at Manchester City for a certain time. He's a well-known character in the Northwest, brilliant coach, brilliant manager. And I just walked in and into having a brandy. You know, Stan's like, hey, brandy? You want brandy? No, I don't think so, Stan, but I bet not one of them, you know. And then the three of us were sitting down like this. And then Stan would just say, look, I'm going to play a back three, yourself, Richard Johnson, Steve Terry. This is who we've got Saturday. And we just start talking football, which was brilliant. And I just absolutely, it was just
straight away he was in.
There was no hotels booked. So I got up and just started going, right, where am I staying? He went, sounds like that. I don't know. So you not booked nothing? I went, well, no, I thought you. So there's a phone box outside. She went, go and get a list of. So I literally went outside with 10p on the phone trying to find a bed sit for the night. But do you know what, Nave? It was the best thing that ever happened to me. And then I had a month at Hull, and we played, I think, 4 or 5 games. And when we had Wolves away on Boxing Day, I drove there myself from Woking. We beat Wolves 2-1. We beat Plymouth 2-1 away. Some journeys and a half, by the way. We beat Sunderland at home 3-2. I think we drew the other game. I think we ended up getting the bottom 3. And I really wanted to stay for another month because the senior boys were fantastic. He looked after me. A guy called Billy Whitehurst. Billy Whitehurst, just Google him. Any young player, go and Google him and see exactly what that character is. And I loved it. And then I got recalled. We was about to play West Ham on a Saturday, and Stan called me and goes, look, you've been injuries at Palace, you've got to go back. I went, I don't want to go back, I want to stay here. You know, I'm loving it. And I went back and played against, funny enough, it was Liverpool at the time.
Famous 4-3?
No, it was a league game. I think it might have been a year before. And I think we won 2-0. I got a picture at home myself and Beersley, ironically enough. And I stayed there, and I ended up playing the cup final at the end of the season. I ended up playing the cup final in 1990, and that was it. But would I have played in the cup final? Would I have been successful if I hadn't done that month at Hull? I don't know. I may have done, but this is what we're talking about before, Carl, about going out and experiencing.
Because all of a sudden, Koppel says, do you know what? He's probably checking your results and seeing that you're winning a few games at Hull. He goes, actually, you can do league. You can do it for me.
I actually came back. I came back a different player, but I also came back a different person.
Grown up.
I grew up, you know, to fend for yourself. And like I said, to play with the calibre of players I was playing with, you know, in the Championship, which is, we all know Championship's such a good league and a tough league now. And even back then, even the games I played, it was just a real eye-opener. I remember playing Sunderland, and I think, Eric Gates was playing off the centre forward, and because I was the youngest out of the 3 that were playing that day, they was just smashing me off the ball. And literally, honestly, it was like nose of blood in that. And the ball's gone out for a throw or something like that, and there's a break in play. The guy, Billy Whitehurst, honestly, he was just a man of a man. He was a brilliant manager. And he came down, he used to call me Little Boy Shaw. And he was like, Little Boy Shaw, everything all right? I said, oh, Bill, what's wrong with your nose? I've just been smashed off the ball by him. And he called the 2 centre forwards over because everyone knew about his reputation. He went, right, come here, Rich, come here. He goes, right, young lad here, just come up from London, find his way in football. Stay away from him. Right, stay away from him. And because of his reputation, Billy, the 2 of them went on Jobson and Terry, and I was in the middle, like just going, like, this is great for me, 19, 20. But it was just such an experience, and you can't put a price on it. You can't, because you'll never get them moments.
Those life skills
playing in 23s or playing in the 18s. You never will. Fending for yourself and
But definitely, I think even that experience, I don't know, for you as a character, I've never ever seen you if there's been any injustices around the training ground. You've always been someone that kind of stood up for the person that maybe didn't have the voice.
Do you know what? And it's so funny you say that now, because obviously I've moved on now. We won't go into it. But I always when I said about that, I gravitate to people who are loyal and honest. I always have done.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember yourself and with Jack Meesh or David. When I first went to clubs, Millwall or Coventry or wherever I went, obviously, if you're loyal and you're honest and respectful, and I know you have a real work ethic and that, I will stick up for anybody.
Yeah.
And my wife said that before. She said, do you wish sometimes you would have, I don't know, cozied up to someone, and I don't know what the term is without swearing. Do you wish you'd rather just cozy up to them and get your mouth? I goes, well, no, because I am who I am.
Yeah.
My upbringing was my upbringing, and if I see that, I've always been a leader. I've always been a captain, or I've been a captain. I've been sorting out bonuses to the players. Yeah. If a young lad came to the team, I'll be the first one to put my arm on a young lad. Come on, you, like John Eustace, you're coming out with us tonight. Integrate. And I've always been that person. If I see a member of staff being taking the mickey out, I will stick up for people. I genuinely will. As that costs me, people think it's moaning. I see it as challenging people to make things better. That's how I see it. But other people, because they don't see it like that. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I sleep very well at night. I know I've done a good job. I know I've done.
You can look yourself in the mirror and you can go,
100%. And for some people, it's too much for them. But like I said, it's not. It's just literally trying to pull everyone together. It's trying to get everything done the right way. Trying to get things improved. You know, and I've always been that way. Wherever I've been, and even outside of football, I've always been that way to my kids and friends and family. And you know, you see what you see. But one thing I do know is I am honest. I'm loyal. I'll say it. Straight. And I can sleep very well at night.
Definitely. I think a lot of staff owe you quite a lot. Definitely where you've gone.
I appreciate that.
And 100%.
Well, it's interesting the phone calls you sort of have when you leave places or what you're up to now. The amount of phone calls you get, that's lovely to see. It's lovely to see.
100%. So then, we really want to kind of focus now or hone in on transitioning into the first team. I know we've discussed it briefly. You've been obviously a manager. So what would be some of the things you'll be looking for from a young player, maybe coming up from the academy, and you're the gaffer in charge? From
my point of view, for a young player, even when I was working in development or I was working in first team football, whenever a young player is coming to first team environment, as for instance, I would always look at, and even when I've gone to watch other clubs train, and a young lad's been there, the first one I look at, right, are you going to work? Are you going to work? Stupid little things like, if you leave the ball, are you going to try and win it back? And I know it's really fine details, but that's what it is. You know, I think you're talented, otherwise you wouldn't be in that situation. So you've obviously got something about you, but have you got that next step? Have you got that work ethic? And I honestly, I can't stress enough that every single manager will look for that. And if you look at Jurgen Klopp, and people say Jurgen Klopp's a genius, he is. I'll tell you what he's done, he's created an environment where people work. And you look at Liverpool now, and they work, that front three, well, I hate to use the words press, everyone's using fashionable words now, but they close down, they are round you, they lose the ball, bang, they're on you. Pochettino's Tottenham side, that's a work ethic. Now, if you think you're good enough to come up to a first team environment and just lose a ball and stand around, you're severely mistaken. You will be straight back down there, and you probably won't come up again for a while. And I've seen it happen. But for me, it's the real things that is working. You have to have a work ethic what you do. But also as well, you know, I tend to look at a lot of people away from the pitch as well. So for instance, I've been in the canteen, and I make sure 23s will clean every table that they were sat at, and I make sure they took their plates back. And if I see someone sat there and they just got off, left their plate, I thought, right, okay, you leave your plate there. What? Someone else going to do that? So on the pitch,
you get an understanding of who they are as a person.
They are. So on the pitch, can I rely on you? If you're going to take your plate back, you're certainly not going to track back and help your full back out. And all these little things matter. And it's funny because you sort of sit away from people and you sort of observe. I'm a big one for that. I love it. I'm a big one. Just looking at characters. You know, even like when you're asking the young lads to get the equipment out, the same people get the equipment out, and the same 3 or 4 will sit inside where it's nice and warm. And I think, I can't rely on you, but I'll have you. So when you want a player to step up to the first team, Joe Humbo was a prime example. Joe was always the first one out there. We should talk about it. And I always used to have him in sessions. You know, with the first team leader, Joe was like, I'm so pleased with him at the moment. But it was like that. And you look out the window and you think, same people. Just put it on the board, same people.
Mental note.
So when you want a player up, you just think, right, That's it.
Yeah.
And then people wonder why they don't
Kick on.
kick on.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So, because of your experience, we wanted to talk about sort of like the development, and you looking at your CV, and obviously we do a little bit of research and stuff. We do a little bit of research and stuff, and you've pushed a lot of players through to a first team environment and been successful. And is there something? Is there? I don't want to say a magic dust, but I want to say, is there something that you have a system or sort of a checklist in your mind that it helps you to get them through and be ready?
What it is, Carl, is when I played, I made people making their debuts at Coventry, as for instance, when I was a senior player, and I would make sure they was all right. And I always made sure I made the environment they're making their debut in, or the training environment I always make sure, like if we're doing a rondo, come on our box, make them feel very welcome, make them feel special, make them feel part of it. And I like to think I did that with my 23 staff as a biz. Always make people feel very, very special and that you care, because that touch, just that little bit of doing that goes such a long way. So I always did that when I was a player. Now as a coach, I took that in there and I thought, if you're going to work in development, you actually have to get down to their level. And we were talking before, and Scott Sellers said something just unbelievable at a course. And he said, I don't care if you've got an A licence, a B licence, a C licence, a Z licence, pro licence, double pro licence. I don't care. If you haven't got an affiliation with the kids or the youngsters, it's not worth it. And I think you have to have that connect. I've seen so many coaches, and I've seen them. I've seen about 25 coaching manuals on the desk and things like that. They haven't got any affiliation with the children, with the youngsters. They coach like they're coaching first team players. These are youngsters that need to be taught. Yeah. So I've always made sure, I've always made them sort of, special is the wrong word, but make them feel comfortable in an environment. So I've always made sure I've set the right environment. So we've had players in the past at all clubs, and I've been to a lot of clubs where, especially in London, it's quite a tough place to be with kids, things going on, things like that. So it's just little things like during the training session, everything all right? How's your mum? How's your dad? How's your brothers? How's this? How's that? You bring them have a little. So even when they're having dinner, sometimes I'll go and sit with them. Or go and sit with them and make them have a chat with them. And I think that's all I've done. That's all I've done, and it sounds simple, but you'd be amazed at how many people don't take the time
to get to know them. Yeah.
So for my big thing about development, my big thing about, I think where I have done well, I'll make no bones about it, is I want to know the person before the player. Yeah. That was what I wanted to know. Yeah. So what makes you tick? And if I can understand what makes you tick, what problems do you have at home? Yeah. Because you might come in late. If people just go, you're late, fine, whatever. Why are they late? Yeah. We had, you won't mind us talking about it, but Levi. Remember Levi? At Palace, and Levi was always late. I'm not late, man. You're Levi. And I never gave Levi too much hope, because I knew we could get there on time. Whereas there were some people at other clubs, maybe at Millwall, where I know one young lad had a few issues or whatever, and then you started peeling away the layers, and then you find out why. Because they are youngsters.
I really think that's important in regards to relationships.
And you've got to know the person before the player. And I think too many coaches don't do that. And I think they just look at a player and think, well, you're not very good, you're not good. But why? How can you help him? Because that's what you're there. The clue's in the word coach. You're coaching, you're teaching, you're trying to teach them how to play the game. And you have to give them time. I used to love doing the little technical sessions in the afternoons and making them feel like, come on, you seven, we're going to do some finishing and bits and bobs, and they've had 45 minutes of just finishing. They always moan, they're coming out. But like Gordon Strachan said, you don't get any better by staying at home watching Neighbours. Let's get out on the pitch and let's work. And I just think you have to put that time in and get to know them. And I like to think that's what I've done. And then you understand the characters, and then you start to understand is right, you're affecting him, so you might need to go to bring him through. And then you start working out all them different permutations. But you've got to get to know them. You have to get to know them. There's no other way. And I see people at clubs don't even know their kids' names. You just think, what chance you got? Got no chance.
How are they going to trust you? How are they going to believe in you?
And when you talk to the youngsters as well, and I say youngsters, I'm talking about 21-year-olds downwards. If you know their name, or I've been going and watching the under-11s, Phil Hinkston or someone doing under-11s, or Scotty Fitz would do it at Millwall with the young lads, and Scotty Fitz would walk in there he'd be there every Sunday watching games. And he just talked to them by their names, and the kid's like, "Oh, brilliant!
Yeah,
Not seen you for a year, but you still know my name." It's just like it makes such a difference. It makes such a because you as a kid will look at that coach who you're trying to teach from, thinking, "Wow, he's remember, he knows a bit about me. He's interested in me."
Yeah.
So
I definitely think if you look at the last few players that have come through your environment, Aaron, Luke, Drea, Sam Woods, Levi Lemeka, Brandon Pierrick, all boys that have played in the Premier League, the environment you've created, for me personally, is testimony to the amount of players you brought through.
Yeah, and that was, and I'll make no bones about it, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of that, because that...
It's something that's not celebrated as well.
No, it's
I don't
not.
think it's celebrated
It's
because
not.
no one, for me, is saying, obviously there's more than one person that brings a player through, but those, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the last, 4 or 5 years, that's big.
That's big.
That's big.
It's huge, yeah. And like I said, the environment, and that takes a lot of time. That takes phone calls at night at times. It just goes. People don't see that.
Yeah.
No, for instance, I mean, I remember my middle daughter once telling my wife, "Dad thinks more about them kids than us."
Yeah, I've heard that.
You know, and that just
We've all
went,
heard
it. It went bang. I thought, oh my God! And now I've started to sort of come out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, I look back and I think, right, okay, I understand what she was saying, but football just consumes you at times.
Yeah.
And like I said, one of the key things for me was not just creating an environment for the youngsters, but my 23 staff. I was very, very honoured and proud to work with them. And at every club I've been at, I always make sure the staff are looked after, because if you look after the staff, they will go that extra mile. Yeah. The minute you start neglecting staff, they're not going to go the extra mile for you. Yeah. And I think if you start looking after staff and you look after staff and even just a little thing, well done. Well done.
Yeah. We can't say it.
You'd be amazed at how many times you don't get a well done. For other. I won't say too much, but you just sit there, just think, wow, okay. Yeah. You just go on one holiday and that's it. Yeah. You come back in July. It's almost like it's expected. Yeah. But everyone likes a well done. Yeah. I liked it as a player, and I played hundreds and hundreds of games. But there's no feeling like when you used to come in after a game and the manager would say, well done. Yeah. It was just brilliant. Even when I was 38 or 39 playing at Millwall, someone saying, well done. Yeah. I was thinking 39, brilliant. I like that.
Good. Yeah. Nice.
You need that.
Yeah, definitely.
You do need that.
Yeah. So obviously then we've got your approach to developing young players. How do you deal with players that are difficult? Because you said, especially in that London environment, you're going to get challenges. So it's not always going to be nice and getting to know them. Sometimes you're going to clash heads, you're going to do this and do that. So how do you manage difficult players?
Difficult, that's what I say, the word difficult. You just said that there, no, it actually is at times. And I think the key thing for me is patience. Yeah. Is having patience with young players, because every player, not just in their mind, but as a player physically, but also in their mindset, will develop at different rates, different stages. So, for instance, the human brain, for instance, it's not fully developed till you're 29. Yeah. And you're still making decisions. We're asking kids to make decisions at 13, 14, 15, 16, 18s when they've got so much going on in their life in terms of, let's be honest, sex and school and exams and everything that goes with it and peer pressure. They've got so much going on, and sometimes I've done so many sessions, I can't tell you, I think that ain't gone very well. Yeah. And sometimes in my head I'm thinking, right, calm, I'm thinking, right, I think you say to the lads, well, I'll give you that one. Yeah. But make sure when we come back next week, let's make sure we're on it. But I think patience you have to, because you can have players at 14 and 15 that are physically struggling, and you think you've got to have the bottle to be patient with them and seeing how they all grow spurts. I've never been one where someone said, "Oh yeah, but his dad's 7'2". We'll wait for that." Because I'm not a big believer in that. I just think, you can always skip generations. I remember being in office with Kenny Jackett, I think, and we had a young kid we're going to sign. He was quite small. Yeah. And I remember Fitzy saying to Kenny, he said, his dad's 6'4". Well, no, he said his mum's 6'1". And Kenny went, well, sign his mum then. Yeah. And we just cracked up laughing. And ever since then, I've sort of thought, I never get that theory. Yeah. Like his mum's whatever he was, because you might skip a generation, I don't know. Yeah. But I just think even like mentally, even if a kid's sort of more of a follower, and it's a big disruption in the change room, shall we say, or wherever you are, or I had as a player, as a youngster as well myself. And I think you do have to give them time, patience. And now there is a limit to that time, of course there is. Yeah. Where you just start, well, hang about, you've had chance after chance after chance after chance, and it's not going to it's not quite gonna work.
Yeah.
And then for their own good, you just say, right, okay, let's think about this, and then maybe go and somewhere. But you do have to have patience, and you, like I said about knowing the player, you've got to have a look at family life, home life, everything okay.
Yeah.
You know, can you get in? Have your car broken down? Have you lost your licence? All sorts of things. So they all relevant though. Yeah. You know, or as Levi Lemeka would say, I think it was Easter every single week with Levi. Levi, why are you late? It's Easter. Yeah, but Levi, it's January. And he still wouldn't have it. But you do. Patience is key.
Yeah.
Patience is key. And like I said, but then the clever bit you have to do is in how long do you put up with that for?
Yeah.
Before they start being an influence on other players, which I've seen happen.
And we talk about that a lot. It's the balance between, so you're listening to what you're saying, you're taking time to understand the young person and their individual needs basically, and what they need to help develop. And then if it comes with difficulties, how long do you give those difficulties time to either heal, not affect them as a player, because that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to develop players, but it's balancing that out. I always think and thinking about, okay, they're coming in with these needs as a young person. You're trying to develop them as a player, okay, but are those needs now affecting the group?
That is key.
Yeah, so they're always late. Okay, all right, they're always late. I know he's got an individual problem, but him being late is now other people going to be late.
Yeah.
Or other people going to go, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shawsy's always late and he gets away with it. How comes I can't be late? Or where is the fine line where you start to say to the player, I get it, I get what you're going through, but at the same time, we need to get to a place.
I think in my experience as a player and a coach, and I think when it starts to affect the group, whether that be first team level, whether that be all the way down, I think when you start getting players affecting the group, and this is where I have a lot of sympathy with a modern day manager now, because the players want so much money that there's no worry. You don't have to play in the first team. You don't have to play in the first team.
Work hard.
You don't have to. You know, if you're that way inclined, you know, I've seen you see kids at 25, 26. I say kids, players that the top clubs that hardly play the game, and yet they're probably made for.
The rest of life.
God knows how many years. But I just think it's hard for the modern day manager now. It should be easier for youth team players, but I think we also have to be careful as football clubs. It's about how much you give them at what age, and I mean I'm a big believer in. I think players should not be earning the amount of money. I think if they're going to earn it, there has to be, I don't know,
third contract,
a trust fund put in.
You said that years ago.
I said it years ago. So if you're earning, I don't know, let's just pick a figure out anything. Just say you're earning £5,000 a week. You take your 2.5, and then 2.5 goes into a trust fund, and you pick that up at 24, 25 or a certain time. You know,
you've got a certain amount of games in the first team.
And I think a lot of it has to be incentivised. I think sometimes it's too easy just to give contracts out for doing not a great deal. You know, because you are putting contracts with youngsters on in terms of potential. You know, which is another difficult thing. Difficult decisions to be made. But like I said, going back to your question, Carl, I just think when that player starts affecting the group at whatever level, then I think you have to take some kind of action. Absolutely.
Maybe you have to go. Maybe you have to.
It might be that. But then also players leave clubs for the right reasons. Players leave clubs for the right reasons as to get their career going because they've become stale, or you know they're not easy. They're really hard decisions. You know, because as a player, I got released at Southampton, and I thought my world had caved in.
What age was that?
15, I think it was 14, 15.
And then you went to Palace.
Then I went to Palace, But then I was also in an era where you could train different nights at different clubs. And I think I was going for a scholarship at Southampton, but then I think they had at the time Shearer, Letizia, Ben Ali. I think get a scholarship there was not going to be easy, I have to say. So I was lucky enough to train at different clubs that, you know, you can't do it now. I mean, I was Monday at Chelsea, not the Chelsea it is now, by the way. It was Monday at Chelsea, Tuesday at Palace, Wednesday at Wimbledon, Thursday at Southampton. You know, so you had the whole spectrum of it. Now it's more difficult.
It's just interesting again to listening to, you got released at Southampton at 15, and listening to your scholarship years in terms of your work ethic and you as a person. It's all, and I hear it from youngsters now as well in terms of, I always say to them, what's been the biggest influence in terms of how your attitude, especially the ones that do have a good work ethic, and sometimes they do say, do you know what, the biggest thing that happened for me, I got released because I knew I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I made sure when I go into a different environment, I make sure I work hard. I make sure I do all the things that I need to do. And then you get the other side of the spectrum, and the other child who was at an academy from 9 all the way up till 23s, and they never experience that kind of, I don't want to say trauma, but that kind of hardship time where their head's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to get a contract? Am I going to play academy football?
Yeah.
And this could happen at 14, 15, 16.
Absolutely, Carl.
Yeah.
And you know, you say to players, you try to prep them for it.
Yeah.
And you're not just playing, but life is not going to be there, and then go like that, and you're going to become 60 and retire, and your life's going to go like that. Your life's going to be like that, up, down. You might get divorced, you might have a baby, you might not. You might. Everything that goes on with life is what's going to be at football. And it's for me, it's how you react.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all going to have upsets in football, in life, in our jobs. But for me, it's how do you deal with that, which is the difficult situation, you know. But I think the sooner you can, like I said, I've kept myself busy last couple of months. I've been back and forth to America. You know, I'm looking to take a job there. I'm looking to set up businesses. I just thought, just embrace it. Just go with it. You know, otherwise you could just go the other way and let other people sort of get you down. And you think about, no, you can't.
Because I always think about this sort of the way the system is now in terms of youth, the school, even the schoolboy with the contracts, and because of the contracts, I understand that clubs want to protect their, I don't want to say asset, but you know what I mean, they're protecting they're protecting their assets to a certain degree, even though they're really young kids. But is it helping the kid in terms of how they're developing? Because before it used to be 14s was kind of when you got your first contract in years before, whether or not that helps a child. You can go and train anywhere, you can go and do it, it's all a bit of fun, it's serious fun, but it's all a bit of fun. But then when you're 14, then it becomes very serious.
It's, and also with the youngsters now as well, you've got the pressure of parents.
Yes.
You've got the pressure of agents at that age. I mean, I've attended games after the last 6-7 years. I've attended games where the final whistle goes and the player's walking off, and it's like a dozen agents around this player. I'm like, the player's 16, 17. It's absolutely incredible. It's incredible to watch it. You watch it, and me and the staff would be like, have a look at that. It's horrible in a way. I detest it. I hate it. And with youngsters, it's so impressionable because of the way the game is now.
And what they think comes with it. You know, so you talk about parents, talk about agents. The agent will try and push his client, even though he knows he's not good enough because of this. And the parent, because obviously every parent does, because that's what parents do. They love their child, they want their parent to do well. So that comes with pressure. And I just think when you end up at a football club, then you've got all that. Oh yeah, my son's there, or I'm looking after him at so and so. But then I think it's hard to temper that enthusiasm and dampen it for the player. But you also have to be truthful and honest with him at times. You know, for you to progress, you may have to step down and go backwards to go forwards. There's nothing wrong with that. But then it's also trying to educate parents and agents and people that go with it. That's the key thing. I'm a big fan of induction evenings. They should be done properly, and you should have the parent in. I also think you should have the agents in. You say the agents, right? Anything you try and get them up, we just. Scott, like I said, I can only speak for Scott Fitzgerald because I worked under Scott. And he's the best academy manager I've worked under by a mile. The way he dealt with it, if you don't want to be here, just go. Don't worry about it. Don't be, just go. And it'd be parents. If you don't want to be here, just go. This is Millwall Football Club. We win a championship. We're a very well run club, which I know they are because I work for them. If you don't want to be here, just go. And he doesn't create himself any problems. Just
Everyone
go.
knows what their standard is.
Just go. And if you go and play 3,000 games Man United, brilliant. Fantastic. But you're not for us.
No harm here.
So there is ways of dealing with it. Like I say, you just have to have that structure and the
secure environment. You've got to have the secure environment. Got to be secure. That everyone knows how we run it. Everyone knows where we stand. And we don't budge. We don't budge on it. It's quite interesting.
I look at Millwall now. I look at the youth team now. I think they're playing Chelsea. And they've done really well.
Get down to that game.
That should be a good game. That'll be an interesting game.
So fair play to him. He's done things right down there. I have to say, he really has.
So before we go into the last part of the show, it'd probably be good to talk about life after sport.
Because I just heard you talk about
life after sport, and I know you talk about the trust fund, players putting their money in the trust fund, and obviously looking after your career after or looking after yourself after your career's finished. I know you've got now Tornado football equipment. Can you talk to people about maybe number one, set up a company that works for some of the young boys?
Well, it's funny because it's something that I'd wish I'd done years ago.
Yeah.
It's something I wish I'd done years ago, because when you're playing, you just get caught up in playing.
Yeah.
You do. And by the way, I do think that's right, because playing football in itself is 24/7. You think about it all the time. I mean, you drive home every single day thinking, game Saturday, we'll match a day Saturday, we'll have to do something wrong. Or, what's my diet going to be on Thursday? What we'll do Friday? And it is 24/7, and then you've got a family and that. So it is difficult, but it's something I wish I'd maybe given myself a little bit more time for when I used to live in the Midlands and things like that. But yeah, it just, for me, Nath, it's just, like I said, I've had a bit of time the last couple of months, and I've had this one going for about a year. I set up a business called Tornado Football. We've got our own brand of kit, which we've got out to a few clubs the last few months, and we do equipment. We do leisure wear.
On these.
There you go. Yeah, just so I thought I'd advertise it today. So we've had our own brand, and a lot of it's seasonal also. But even just setting it up, I've never used a spreadsheet before. I've never marketed. I don't do social media until this, and I've started trying to do it. I still don't know how it works. I'm going to be honest. But it takes me out of your comfort zone. And sometimes I just think there has to be more to life. I don't want to get to a certain age and think, you know what, I've been here for like 25 years. What have I really achieved? What have I really achieved? And this has just given me the opportunity to come out my comfort zone and do this, and just going to meetings with clubs and trying to work out a deal for them. Right, if you can sponsor us here, we'll give you this and this and that. And, even that. And then, so I got this one up and running, and like I said, I'm looking at someone to come in now to invest, and speaking to him and getting him on board, and there's so many bits of
like a new chapter
to go with
what's
it.
Going on.
And then I decided, well, I'm with a friend of mine, why don't I do another one? And then I've done we're setting up a concierge and lifestyle management company where it will be aimed at a lot of people in football, and also in the city, and also basically anyone. I mean, we were offering watches, bespoke jewellery, holidays abroad. We've got a bespoke when we does all the holidays. We talked to you before. She'll sort your holidays out for you. Clothing. I know the kids are into Balenciaga trainers and that, so we'll have all that for kids if they want it. Watches. I know people like their watches, so we have all of that. Tickets, sporting tickets, theatre tickets, London hotels. So we are going to become a concierge company for, so if you want any of them things, and we can help. We hope to get like a big client list or something along them lines. I mean, the ticket thing's great, because I just saw the ticket list come through yesterday, and you look at, I mean, I'm not my fan, but I'm looking at this list and thinking, God, Justin Bieber's coming to town. I'm like, first time I've ever mentioned Justin Bieber, and I'm thinking, like, I wonder who'd want Justin Bieber tickets. So straight away, I'm just getting my comfort zone. So that should be up and running in weeks rather than months.
Oh, wow.
And then that's going to be so busy, and I sometimes wonder whether I've probably done too much. Because also I've been to Florida 2 weeks ago, and I'm accepting a job over there as director coaching at an academy over there in Winter Park in Orlando, and I'm going back over. Wow. I went over there a couple of weeks ago. Oh, Jay, I loved it. Talk about lifestyle change. Oh my God! I was coaching, and I was someone else. I remember going out the Sunday morning before I was flying back from Orlando, and I was like, I'm just going to go for a walk, and I had a t-shirt and shorts on. You can imagine Florida, can't you? I had big Ray-Bans on, I had the Beats headphones on, everything like that. And a woman said to me, I was coming out this lovely place, this lovely area called Winter Park, and I was going out. She goes, "Oh, Rich, do you want a jacket to keep warm?" I went, and I love Florida in the summer, but it was absolutely gorgeous. And I was walked to this lake, and big coffee bars around, and I sat there. I was having this fruit smoothie and a green tea. I'm trying to keep it healthy. And I'm sitting there on my phone, and I was thinking, this I love it. I love this. And I really enjoyed it. The first 2 or 3 days, I was a little bit homesick from the family and this and that. But the kids were great. It's like he's got 600 kids. It's like an amateur thing, but he wants to be in the USL. He's buying land. He's trying to get its facilities done right, and he's done a real good go. And he's asked me to come over and structure the whole thing in terms of coaching, in terms of seeing the coaches, what they're doing, feedback, have a group myself, have an age group myself, and then the work you do to go with it. And it's really sort of intrigued me. And because it's on the East Coast, the travelling's not too bad. It's only 7.5 hours going back the other day. So I'm going to go back out next week. I'm really looking forward to it. A couple of really good kids there, great kids who just love love the coaching.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can see it. I mean, I've turned into an American, I'm high five and kids, high five, and everything like that. It's brilliant. So that's that side of it, and I'll come back and they're touring over in the UK. I think they're up in Watford actually, funny enough.
Okay,
So they're touring over in the UK, and I'll probably go back over there in March through to May. So with them 3 things I've got going on at the moment, I haven't got time to be miserable or think about anything else.
Which can sometimes happen for players if they just consume themselves solely in football.
You can.
After you leave it, or just like Nathan said, life after sport, it's a massive hole. But it's good to see and good to hear that you're kind of you're doing that sort of stuff really, really good. And hopefully youngsters hear that, they sort of think about that before they get to a place where they need to scratch around for stuff.
Well, I think that's the thing for me, Carl. And I think when I stopped playing, I literally walked straight into a job at Millwall. You know, and nothing really prepares you for it. You know, I was coaching. I went straight into a first team environment in Millwall with the 21s, and the first day I was like, I'm not prepared for this, and I don't regret it because I learned so much under Kenny Jackett. Kenny was great, brilliant coach. I have to say I learned a lot under Kenny, and for that I'll always be thankful. But you're not prepared. I wish I'd come back into a youth team environment first, and then learnt the sessions and learnt everything and learnt how to really structure things. And I learnt a lot of Dave Reddit and Jack Meashaw through that. And I was not too proud that I'd had a playing career and they hadn't. But I was never too proud to learn off them. They were probably the best coaches I've worked with.
My previous experience in terms of Watford.
Outstanding coaches.
I think was there. Redders was there when I first started, and he was doing the 16s at the time.
Brilliant.
And, he was
and I learned
really good
so
coach.
much off the two of them. And then you talk about helping players. I like to think I developed the coaches because them two, I remember saying to them two once, you see you two, I said, you've got to get out and network. I said, if there's a job going, I'll probably get it because I probably know someone who knows someone. Right? So I should drag them out to games, like 23s games and youth team games and first team games. Like we go and watch, say, Wimbledon, and Jack will come with me. I say, come, let's go and see Neil Ardley after the game. Oh, this is Jack. If you're looking at it, get them networking because that's the thing they needed to do. And they were really good coaches. So I like to think I got them that side of it. But also, I learned a lot off of them as well. I learned a hell of a lot of structuring sessions, how to do it. And I think also, if you want to, set business up, but if you also want to get into coaching, start going now. Start doing your B licenses now. Start, and don't just do it because it's an education thing. Do it because you learn about football doing it as well. And if you're going to do it, then maybe the next year go and do something else to do with football because you're still learning. You're always learning the game, and it just gives you that. When you stop playing, I was lucky. I stopped playing and went straight into it. If I had more time again, I might have done it another way. But then again, like I said, I wish I knew my time was coming towards the end as a player. Started thinking about businesses before that really, rather than stopping and thinking, what I'm going to do now, and then setting something up. It is really, really important. It's really, really can't stress enough. Because there's only so many times you can play around the golf during the week. Or having, me and my missus are just coughing mornings every morning at the moment. I can't wait to get to America. It costing me a fortune though.
So in the last part of the show we called it like the advice corner. So we kind of asked you to give like one piece of advice to different categories of people. So if you can give one piece of advice, I know Troy Towns was on it before and he said you can't give one piece of advice and all this. But if you can give one piece of advice to a young player, he's now second year pro, what advice would you give that young person?
Continue to work hard. Continue. Do you know what, Dave? I can't stress enough because the minute you don't start working hard and the minute you switch off and think you've made it, it just goes pear-shaped. It just goes pear-shaped. I just think, have them morals. You're going to have that work ethic, and I always think in life, if you work hard, something will always open up for you. Something will always happen, and I always think if you've got that work ethic, someone will always gravitate to someone who's got that and give them a chance and then learn how to play that position. Whereas if you play that position and can't be bothered to work hard enough, that person will always get rid of you. But if you've always got that work ethic, just continue to whatever's got you there, continue to do it.
And if you've got a young coach, what would you give them? What piece of advice would you give that young coach?
At any level, or
he's in academy football, and he doesn't necessarily want to push into first team football. He maybe just wants to work at a high level.
I'd say for me, like we talked about it earlier about knowing the player
Yeah.
before knowing the person before the player.
Yeah.
I will stand by that, and that's always been my mantra.
Yeah.
As soon as that. So when you've got your group, have a look at your group. So even when I went over to America a couple of weeks ago, and I had the sessions I was doing I had no idea what I was walking into.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't know the mentality of them guys.
Yeah.
So I just literally the first couple of sessions I'd sort of done. I was walking around, getting to know where'd you go to school. I hadn't got a clue where they were. Orlando and Florida.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I took that interest in them.
Yeah.
That I think they felt comfortable with me.
Yeah.
That we could get this session flowing, and they by the end of the week we were like I said, I had them, and they enjoyed it. So I mean, I'd always say that as a coach, get to know, and I think that sort of. Does it reflect in the first team? It's a different world in the first team because it's results based. It's results based, and in first team you've got the ability just to sell someone or leave someone out and blah blah. So that's a different kettle of football. But I certainly think in youth team football, I think get to know the players.
Yeah. And lastly, a young manager, because you've done it, you've played, you've coached, you've managed.
Oh God, do you know what the managing are? It's funny because I remember being in a course once when Lenny Lawrence was there, and Lenny said, you'll find your way in football, whether you'll be a youth team coach or a assistant manager or a manager. Yeah. And I sat there and thought, well, I'll do all 3 or 4 of them. But you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
And when I took over as a manager, and as caretaker, oh my God, I couldn't believe the problems I walked into. You sat at the desk, the chairman wants to meet with you at 6 o'clock in the West End in London, and then you've got to take training at 9 o'clock, and you've got to do a press conference. And I just I couldn't believe it. So the best bit of advice I got was from Gordon Strachan. He said, if you want to be a manager, learn to delegate.
Okay.
Learn to delegate because get people around you that you can trust and learn
get
to
a good
delegate.
team around you.
Yeah, because you cannot do everything.
Yeah.
Gordon saying to me, and you ask Gab when you get Gab on the show, he was doing everything. He was booking the coaches because he was this control guy.
Yeah.
What time the coach coming? Who's done that? I'll do that. You know, you just can't. Your head goes everywhere. And it's true when managers say you literally you do your drive home. Even as coaches, you drive home. How did the day go? And then you literally just left the coaching group. And literally, you got in the car, you're on the training ground, I'm phoning like Powley or Jackal, how do you think went today? But I've just spoke to you about 8 hours. and you're still going again, you're going again. Yeah. So I would say delegate. If you can delegate and you've got trustworthy people around you, that'll save you a multitude of sins. Yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Great stuff.
Shawsy, I really, really appreciate you coming down. My gratitude is immense.
No, don't be silly, mate. I've said anything for you, pal.
Yeah.
Anything for you, mate. Anything for you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Pleasure.
Nice one. Great work. Great
no
stuff.
Problem at all.
Good to
My
hear.
pleasure.
Nice one.
Well done. Let's tease you, get him to knock it down. But yeah, all done, Shawsy, man.
Do you know what, though, mate? It ain't.